I'm now with Barry Hawley with the Grocott Jaguar on the Jaguar Drivers Club Stand. Good afternoon, Barry, and welcome to the Classic Restoration Show.
Thank you.
Can you give me a history of the car? You were the second owner, is that correct? After?
Yeah, I was the second owner after John Grocott, who actually designed and built a lot of the car with the help of Byatts of Fenton in Stoke-on-Trent. I had the car, I knew the car from the mid-70s when John had first moved to the Isle of Man, and unfortunately through illness John couldn't drive it, so I did drive it on a couple of occasions for him, and then he let me have it and bring it back to the UK, and that would have been in about 1988, which we then did some restoration work on it. I kept it then until the mid-late 90s, about 96, 97, and I sold it on again. But the history of the car is it's a Mk VII. It's based on a Mk VII Jag with John's own modifications. It took him several years to do the designs because he kept altering them. He'd have bits built to it and then take them off again.
But didn't he have to get permission off Jaguar as well about the building of the car?
Yes, because it was built on a proper Mk VII chassis, and he did have a new Jag engine, so yes, he had permission off Jaguar. He did have proper permission because then he could call it the Grocott Jaguar. Yeah, permission was granted for that. Yeah.
So you took over from him then?
Yes. I mean, it had stood for many years at that point because unfortunately, say through illness, John couldn't drive it. But yes, he had it. He built it. Took several years to build because he did keep altering the design. Probably 6-7 years before its final commissioning to the road, but yeah, and it was it's a fantastic thing to drive.
But he didn't actually get it to drive it on the Isle of Man, did he, in the end?
No, John never drove it, other than just in and out of his own garage, because unfortunately he was ill when he first moved to the Isle of Man, and it was taken over there by Ernie Johnson, who was one of the mechanics from Byatts of Fenton. It was taken to the Isle of Man by Ernie. Probably late 70s, and he drove it there, and John never drove it again. No, not on the Isle of Man. No.
So what is it like to drive?
Fantastic. I mean, it's just unbelievable to drive. Very rigid, very straight, goes like the wind. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not a boy racer's car, but it is. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's lovely to drive. It's just a talking piece. If it hadn't got the big fins at the back, people wouldn't even look at the car, but that was John's work on aerodynamics. He has probably been a fantastic surgeon. He also studied engineering, and it was his way of doing his engineering skills, which was fantastic. Just fantastic man, extremely intelligent man, knew everything. If he talked to you about anything, immediately paper and pencil came out and he'd draw what he was talking about, and that only went with his surgeon work, it also went with the work on the car, and that's why he wanted me to have it, because he knew I was a collector of Jags at the time, but more modern Jags, and he said, well, if it's going to go to anyone, it's going to go to you, because you will look after it and you will drive it. But unfortunately, after a few years, I physically couldn't look after it anymore due to pressure of business, so I sold it on.
And what other Jaguars do you have personally?
Now, XJ6, the XJs, new type XJs. But I've had everything from the old XJs, the mid-range XJs, right up to the new type Jaguar now. I use them as a fleet of cars at work because I'm a funeral director. So we've got the new XJs as funeral cars as well. Yeah.
So it's here today, and you've seen it today. How long is it since you last saw it?
22, 23 years. Yeah, I never thought I'd see it again running, and I certainly never thought I'd see it here. And when Sarah made contact with me, I just couldn't believe it. It made my day. I thought this is never true. Someone can't be asking about the Grocott, and she was. And I'm glad it's gone to a home now, where it's gone to an enthusiast, and not just some guy that's going to leave it in a garage. But it's going to make him a lot of money. It's such a shame that unfortunately the original number plate isn't on it, but Sarah's going to do her best to retrieve that at some point, because I did take a lot of getting back, because it was registered in the Isle of Man as MMN 333, and when I brought it back to the UK, I went to great lengths to get the original 309 GVT put back onto it, and I did. But then unfortunately the guys bought it off me, took it off, must have thought he can you know, keep it for himself, which he has done. So it's a shame. If Sarah can get that back, that'll complete the car, and it really will be then original.
Yes.
It will be original. Yeah. But it's fantastic. It's lovely to see it again. It's lovely to see it again. It really, really is lovely to see the car again.
Yeah.
If Sarah didn't live so far away from me, I was going to say to her, can I come and drive it now it's running? Because it certainly isn't for the faint-hearted. No. It's not a boy racer's car. No.
Well, thank you very much for the interview, Barry, and I hope you do sometime get to race it. Get to drive it again.
To drive it again, yeah. I really seriously would. I'd love to drive the car again. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the interview. Thank you. Thanks, Barry. Thank you.